Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we've got the 2014 Lexus IS350 F-Sport, and this one also has all-wheel drive. Lexus has always said this car is aimed directly at the BMW 3 Series and of course the Mercedes-Benz C-Class. So today we're taking it up there in those mountains to see just how well it compares. The F-Sport is a package you can order on either the IS350 or the most powerful IS350 sedan. In addition, you can also order up all-wheel drive on both, just as our tester has. Akin to the BMW M Sport or Mercedes Sport packages of the past, going for the F-Sport gives you a number of appearance items on the IS to amp up the look, in addition to moderate performance enhancements. The most noticeable visual is the deep and aggressive front fascia and unique grille. It has a much more menacing look to go with its sharper performance personality. 18-inch 10-spoke F-Sport wheels are unique and have a dark satin finish that really looks striking with our tester's Matador red mica paint. As we've reviewed the IS before, the overall style is crisp and artful. I particularly like the way the lower rocker line does a pirouette into the rear three-quarter view. It's a daring stylistic move that isn't over the top enough to take away from the business-like sports sedan theme. The interior of the IS gets a dose of F-Sport goodness, starting with special perforated leather seats with more aggressive side bolsters. They really hold you tight, so much in fact I would suggest if you were 225 pounds or more they might feel a little tight. The steering wheel gets a thick perforated leather treatment as well, complete with metal paddle shifters and full-function button controls. Trims in the F-Sport are soft touch all around with genuine aluminum accents on the dash along with some satin silver accompanying pieces. The instrument cluster gets a page from the LFA supercar with a customizable center dial position. Hit a steering wheel mounted button and it moves to the side and becomes even more purpose-driven. On the console, the F-Sport gets a drive mode selector which goes to 11. Well, okay, not really, but it does have Sport Plus, which takes everything up an extra notch, including the suspension, steering feel, behavior of the transmission, and throttle response. When you get all-wheel drive, a snow mode is added also. The dash is well designed and I love the down-to-business style of the controls. No overly gimmicky notions here. The center display screen and Mark Levinson audio system are easy to use and learn on the go with the center console puck, and HVAC controls work splendidly. That Mark Levinson sound system with its 835 watts and 15 speakers is a bit pricey at $3,225, but the sound is oh so worth it. That price, however, includes a number of other package items including navigation, backup camera, and the Lexus Entune app suite, just to name a few. There are a few areas of this interior that sort of rub my OCD tendencies the wrong way. One is this little tiny screen over here that's in a big screen space. Now we all know Lexus makes a bigger screen in some of their cars, yet here I've got this big space with a black filler panel around a small screen. A little detail. Now also we've got this great knob down here that dials up settings for drive modes, and they really work well. The problem is every time I turn the car off it defaults back to normal. If I were to spend $50,000 for a sports sedan, I'd like it to save my settings and remember what I want when I get back in it. The rear seat is roomier than you might expect in this size sports sedan, offering up adult-sized legroom. Also not always found in this class is the ability to fold the seats down for skis or storage of larger items in the trunk. The 3.5-liter V6 under the hood features both port and direct fuel injection in addition to variable valve timing. The computer can switch between either port or direct fuel injection depending on the driving conditions and even summon both for maximum power. This yields 306 horsepower from the naturally aspirated V6 and affords an EPA-rated 19 miles per gallon city, 26 miles per gallon highway, and 21 miles per gallon combined. We achieved 22.5 miles per gallon combined in our week of testing. Our tester had a 6-speed automatic transmission with sport shifting mode, the gearbox you get when you option all-wheel drive. An 8-speed automatic does come with the standard rear-wheel drive IS350. Now this engine is very powerful, it's got a great power curve, and it makes some wonderful sounds. Paired to the 6-speed automatic transmission, it's a pretty willing partner as we go down here in the curves. You notice that this sport transmission holds my gear. Yes, brake, 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 brake. Gives me a downshift. And as we go around the corner, it holds my gear. Going into this corner here, it gives me a downshift, and it's right where I want it to be coming out. Going down, down, down. You notice it's holding my gear for me as I go in here. It's downshifting for me, holding my gear, holding my gear. It's right there when I'm coming out of the corner. Stepping on the brake, it's holding my gear again for me. It's just a joy for an automatic. And it's just making some wonderful sounds. The steering has a pretty good amount of feedback. I like the fact that it's nice and tight. And going around these curves where there's bumps, I'm not getting any kickback over some of the ruts. That does happen in cars even costing more than this. Handling in the IS350 S Sport is obviously very rewarding and fun. Grip is excellent and the chassis precision is everything you'd expect from this class. When you dial the drive mode up to Sport Plus, you get a noticeable step up in stiffness and damping. Having also driven rear-wheel drive IS sedans, I didn't notice a lot of difference on public roads between all-wheel drive when it came to chassis balance. Perhaps in a track setting, this would be more noticeable. You know, so all said, this is a car that goes on our I'd buy it list, just like the IS250 from a couple weeks ago. But I think if I were to order the S Sport IS350, I'd probably forego the all-wheel drive. And that's for a couple of reasons. The first one is, I'm not really liking this little hump that's massaging my leg down here just next to my calf. Of course, it's there because of the transfer case, and that wouldn't be there on a two-wheel drive model. Also, you know, it does slow the car down, it's heavier, and it does cut into your fuel economy. And here in Arizona, we just wouldn't need this kind of an all-weather experience that the all-wheel drive can offer. And honestly, even if I lived in a blue snow state, I'm just not really sure that this is a car I'd be wanting to drive out in the snow anyway, at least with these tires. So I suppose if you were going to put some Blizzaks on it, there might be an argument to be made. But for me, here in Arizona, two-wheel drive is the only way to go for a rear-wheel drive biased sports sedan. So does the IS compare against the 3 Series and the Mercedes C-Class? Well, I think so. And of course, some car magazines that are out there, Motor Trend, Car and Driver, they've actually said that this IS is better than the 3 Series when it comes to all-out sports sedan handling. And while that may be opinion, mine is simply this. Mercedes-Benz tends to have a little bit more luxurious ride, slower reflexes, and the car tends to feel heavier. Now, the BMW 3 Series has always been the standard by which all things are measured, and having owned a number of them, I can see why. But the problem is, in the last 5 to 10 years, the 3 Series has sort of lost its edge. It's become a little more cushy. The drive-by-wire controls have really sort of let you down in the way of feel. And in the most recent versions, the steering isn't quite as connected as it once used to be. So really, Lexus had nowhere to go but up. And when it comes to the handling and the overall feel of this car, how it responds to you, I think that it threads the needle just a little bit better than the 3 Series of today. See, the thing is, when you buy a sports sedan like this and you spend $45,000 or $50,000, in my opinion, I want this car to be my partner in crime. I want it to be my friend. I want it to, you know, be there for me when I ask it to get me out of that tight curve. And so you really look at a car like this as a tool, something that feels good in your hands, something that responds to your touch and pretty much does what you say. And this car does it well. Holding my gear, right there on my way out of the curve, another downshift. Okay, going into the curve. Nice sound, woo! Holding my gear, brake, 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 brake. Curve, around we go. It just really does it. It just really says, yes, I'm ready to play, and I want to. Well folks, there you have it, the 2014 Lexus IS350 F-Sport all-wheel drive. Now, I kind of let the cat out of the bag. This goes on our I'd buy it list for 2014, which means Sam likes the car. And after all, the thing is just drop dead gorgeous, isn't it? Now, I know better than that. I'm probably going to get comments. It's a very love-hate style, especially right down in this area. But those wheels, to me, are just absolutely beautiful. And the best part about them is they are absolutely covered in brake dust, but you'd never know it. Now, for scoring this week, it goes pretty high because I didn't really find a lot wrong with it, but there were a few little details we talked about on the drive. So this week, it gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride.